I found out I was pregnant. It was a bit of a shock. At first, it was a bit of a shock, but the more I sat with it, the more I realized it's the best blessing God could have given me. And it also felt like the right time. So I think the first thing I miss is the kicks, you know? Every time you feel like the baby kick, it's like, oh, my little human is with me and we're together. And when you're pregnant, you feel like you're really bonding. I used to sing to her, and because they tell you that when you're still pregnant, she can hear your voice and she can start to separate it from other voices, So it was bonding time for me. At the time, I was still in between names. I was still thinking about two options. I hadn't decided on one. But it's one of those things you see in movies, you see the baby's face and you can tell the name goes with them, My name is Vanessa. I have one child, one baby girl. I have a 9 to 5. Yeah, not going into the specifics, but yeah, I do work a regular job. So I had the baby last year in September. Maybe to add on to what I said earlier, I am a single mom. I'm not married. And I found out I was pregnant last year in February. It was a bit of a shock. At first, it was a bit of a shock, but the more I sat with it, the more I realized it's the best blessing God could have given me. And it also felt like the right time, I'm in my, late 20s and done with school. Now I'm working, so it just felt like the timing was right. Yeah, so yeah, finding out was, at first it was a shock, but I then came to see that it was a blessing from God. Yeah. So I think the first thing I miss is the kicks, every time you feel like the baby kick, it's like, oh, my little human is with me and we're together. And when you're pregnant, you feel like you're really bonding. I used to sing to her, and because they tell you that when you're still pregnant, she can hear your voice and she can start to separate it from other voices, So it was bonding time for me, especially because maybe I'm rushing ahead, especially because for me, I was not able to breastfeed for long. I didn't have enough supply. I breastfed her for like the first 5 months of her life, and then we had to switch to formula because, my breast milk supply was not enough to satisfy her. So I miss the bonding during pregnancy. It was my favorite. When the kicking begins, you miss it. So actually I didn't have contractions because mine was a scheduled C-section. I had some complications. Well, not complications, but my doctor was worried about a few things. So they scheduled a C-section slightly before the due date, which means I didn't have contractions. But the birth story was amazing. I remember being in the theater and just hearing her cry and seeing her face. And she was born with a full head of hair. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so now she's here and now I'm a mom, And it takes a while to sink in that you're now a mom to this little human who you've been feeling the kicks for months. And it took a while to come to believe that now she's here. So the birth story was, I wouldn't say anything out of the ordinary happened, but I just remember seeing her head of hair and thinking to myself, At the time, I was still in between names. the English name I was sure about, but our cultural or traditional name that I'd chosen for her, I was still thinking about two options. I hadn't decided on one. But it's one of those things you see in movies, you see the baby's face and you can tell the name goes with them, you know. Or also, it goes with what you wish for their life. So, yeah, my birth story, I think that's what I would say about it. Yeah. And I had a lot of support. As I mentioned, I'm a single mother, so my mom was the one who was with me in the hospital. And yeah, we've been on the journey together since then. I think how little they are, you know, because actually mine was a big baby. According to what doctors were saying, she was born with around 4.2 kgs, which is apparently that's big for a newborn. But they're so little, they're fragile, you're afraid you could hurt them while you're bathing them, while you're changing them. So yeah, I was really surprised by how little they are and how little they eat, well, drink, because in the beginning it's just breast milk or formula, whatever you're choosing to give them. So yeah, how little they are, how fragile they are, how little they eat, you know, and also how hectic the nights are. Because babies, when they're born, apparently they can't tell the difference between day and night. So during the day when you're awake, they're asleep. And at night when you're trying to sleep, they're awake. So that was a bit of a shock as well. Well, I think I kind of expected it, but I didn't realize you can't get like 5 straight hours of sleep. So that was a bit of a shock as well. Well, I wish someone had explicitly told me that it's good to accept help, you know, to rely on your village. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're a bad mom if you let someone take care of your baby for a few hours in the day, or if you leave your baby with a trusted caregiver and take time for yourself. Because I remember the first 3 months when my baby was home, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't leaving the house. I was always with her. Until one day I took a day, went to see a friend, and I felt refreshed. You know, you feel renewed. The fact that you're able to take time for yourself, see a friend, do something fun for yourself. So I think the best advice anyone could have given me would be to rely on your support system. If it's family, if it's friends, if it's caretakers. Because you really cannot do it alone. Raising a child, I believe, is a community project. It's not something you can do alone. You have to rely on aunties, you have to rely on your mom if you have one, or your parents if you have them, friends, even caretakers. So yeah. I would say my mom, yeah, because she's actually among the first people I told that I was pregnant, you know, after the baby's dad and my younger sister, I told my mom about it, and we walked the journey together, be it appointments with the doctor and during childbirth. You know, she was the one in hospital with me, sleeping there with me, and up until the time we got discharged from the hospital. Even when we came home, we would take turns at night in the beginning. When I stopped breastfeeding and started going to work, she would sleep with the baby at night so I can rest well and go to work in the morning. So my biggest support in this whole journey, be it pregnancy, be it childbirth, be it parenting, it's been my mom, yes. I think there is definitely still a stigma in our community surrounding single moms or unwed mothers. But I personally try not to internalize that because I would not want my child to pick up on any of that. So Motherhood to me means raising a decent human being. If I can do that, then I will have done the best. I will have done the best thing I could ever do with my life, you know. To me, she became my purpose when she came into my life. And I know that that's not always the case for everyone. Life is bigger than being a mom to some people. Life is bigger than, you know, lots of things. But to me, she became my purpose when she came in my life. Motherhood is being selfless, you know. When she's crying late at night and you're trying to sleep and you have work in the morning and you still tough it out, you know, go to work tired. But so motherhood is being selfless. Motherhood is doing your best to raise a decent human being, be it a boy or a girl. And motherhood is community, you know, because you meet with other moms, you share experiences. They tell you, oh, if there's an accident and she falls, it's okay. Babies are resilient. She'll bounce back from that, you know. And motherhood is also worrying, you know, worrying if she's hitting all her milestones, worrying if she's well, if you're doing your best as a parent. Especially as a single mom, because you don't have your partner with you to you know, work through some of the things that you need to work through together as parents. So yeah, motherhood I think it's the biggest blessing from God to me, but it's also the most important job that you can do, because you're taking care of a whole human being. The funniest thing, which actually turned out is not unique to her, the first time I saw my child put her foot in her mouth, literally, I was like, okay, is something wrong with my child? Where is she eating her feet? But yeah, that was one of the funniest things. And they make the silliest faces and the silliest noises. That one is really funny as well. Mine is still, I would say, call her a baby. She's 9 months, so we haven't seen everything. It's still early on in the journey, but yeah, they do the cutest things. Babies are the cutest things. Yeah. A parenting tip that helped would be to share with to share my experiences with other moms, you know, not to isolate myself, or if I'm having any concerns, keep it to myself. So I think it would take me back to the best parenting advice that I would have wanted, or that I would have benefited a lot from. Relying on your community, you know, sharing experiences. Moms who have come before you. I remember when my baby was teething and having a fever, the first people I'd call were fellow moms. Like, did your child have this? What can I do? Is there medication for this? You know, or when she wasn't feeding well and I worried about her weight dropping, the first person I'd call would be another mom. Did your child go through this today? You know, so just the best parenting tip I would give anyone would try to connect with other moms, you know, because your experiences will be very similar. Everyone has their own experience for sure, but they'll be very similar. You'll find that you have a lot to learn from them, yeah, which makes it easier for your own parenting journey. Delegate, you know, delegate. At first, I was the kind of person who wanted to do everything on my own, but some friends came to see me when I just given birth, and I remember one of them telling me, delegate, you know, if you've been up all night with a baby, during the day, let the nanny take care of her, or let your mom take care of her, or whoever is available, and take a nap for yourself, you know, go take a shower, take a nap, rest. Because it is very true, a well-rested mom is the best mom. and is a happy mom. And that's what all children need. They need you at your best, they need you happy, rested, well taken care of, so that you can also take care of them well. So the best advice is delegate. Don't worry about having to do everything yourself unless you absolutely have no other choice, because those situations also happen. But if you have people who can help you, even if it's for a day, even if it's for a few hours in the day, please take advantage of that. There's no weakness in that, there's no shame in that. It doesn't mean that you're a bad mom if you accept people's help. Yeah. So actually I didn't crave food, but I craved soda, any kind of soda. I was taking like 2-3 sodas a day, which was really not the healthiest thing to do, because I remember going for my diabetes test while I was pregnant, when they check for gestational diabetes, and I was scared out of my mind. I was like, all the sodas I've been taking, surely it's going to affect me somehow. But by the grace of God, it went well. My sugar levels were normal. But yeah, I remember craving soda. To this day, when I take soda, I'm like, actually something was wrong, because it doesn't taste as good as it did then. Yeah, but when I was pregnant, my craving was, lots and lots of soda. So we go through nursery rhymes all the time, especially as our bedtime routine. Sometimes you give her a bottle and she doesn't immediately go down, so you sing for her just to soothe her, And just different nursery rhymes, if people know Coco Melon, that's our favorite at the time. So yeah, we sing nursery rhymes, which are the same ones I used to sing for her while I was still pregnant. I think it's a matter of balance, trying to strike a balance, You pick and choose what serves you, if I'm being honest. Times have changed, obviously, so I'll give an example. Things like screen time, Lots of parents of my time, now parents raising kids today, like myself, we get concerned about too much screen time, or is it even good for them? Which is not something we used to worry about when we were younger. There were no screens, we were playing outside. Kids today don't get to do that, So you have to find a balance. Pick what works for you. For example, for me, I believe that there should be screen time in moderation, because there's educational content that they can watch as well. But also there should be playtime, active playing outside in the grass or in the dirt, because that's also important in their formation years. And so basically just finding a balance, and then also not dismissing traditional ways of parenting, because there's a reason that it works. There's a reason it worked for our moms, for our grandmothers. So you find a balance. You have to appreciate the fact that the world has changed and everything may not be the same, but you also have to keep in mind that there's some things that still work, So finding a balance. There's some, I wouldn't call them organizations, but there's some book clubs for children here. I loved reading as a child. That's something I'd love to pass on to her. So I want us to join a book club together. I want us to join a play club together, There's some I've already reached out to. We just have to get to the right age, because most of them start from around 2 years. So we just have to get to the right age and we can join them. So yeah, I would love mostly to pass on my love of reading to her. I would say motherhood has made me a more positive person, I was always worried about everything going on in the world and thinking, oh, we live in such a bad world, But now I focus more on the positive stuff, the great friends I have. Being a mom has made me more positive. I have a lot more to look forward to. I enjoy myself more. I appreciate life a bit more. Even the people that I have in my life, my family, my friends, I think to myself, I'm glad I have these people in my life because my child gets to grow up around them, you know, gets to grow up with their kids. So yeah, it has definitely changed my outlook on life, made it brighter, made it more positive, yeah. And it has made me a happier person all around, yeah. What I can add is there's definitely still a gap when it comes to places that moms can come together to share their experiences, to make friendships and have their kids play together, those sort of things, So I would love to see that more here, and I look forward to seeing what other moms in Kigali had to say. Yeah, because it's interesting to see other people's parenting stories or motherhood stories. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share my experience. Yeah.